Anything you want to do.
Pro-legalizing marijuana. Yes, marijuana should be legalized. I believe that marijuana is positive because cannabis has been used for 10,000 years and not one single death has ever been recorded. It is not addictive and is actually far less addictive than caffeine. If legalized, far less minors would be using cannabis or weed would be sold in stores. The valid ID must be given and the user must be at least 21 years old of age. After customers start buying from these dispensaries, drug dealers would vanish and the ones that stick around would be most likely dealing drugs. While recreational marijuana is controversial, many people believe that the drug should be legal, especially for medical uses. Psychiatrist Todd Mikuya said the symptoms of over 200 elements could be treated with marijuana, including stuttering, insomnia, premenstrual syndrome, and writer's cramp. Even the National Cancer Institute agree with Mikuya, especially for chemotherapy, increasing appetite, relieving pain, and improving sleep. Marijuana decreases the pressure inside the eye, according to the National Eye Institute. Studies in 1970s showed that marijuana, when smoked, lowered intraocular pressure in people with normal pressure and those with glaucoma. These effects may slow the progression of the disease, preventing blindness. Marijuana use can prevent epileptic seizures. A 2003 study showed Robert De Lorenzo of Virginia Commonwealth University gave marijuana to epileptic rates. A chemical found in marijuana stops cancer from spreading. It is called cannabidiol. Prevent cancer from spreading. Researchers at California Pacific Medical Center in San Francisco in 2007. Marijuana may be able to slow the progression of Alzheimer's disease. A study led by Kim Janda of the Scripps Research Institute suggests. In 2006 study published in the journal Molecular Pharmaceutics found that marijuana slows the formation of amyloidal plaques of blocking the enzyme in the brain that makes them. In 2010, researchers at Harvard Medical School suggest that these benefits may actually be from reduced anxiety. If legalized marijuana can be taxes, which would produce billions of dollars annually in profit, which in turn would help our nation get out of debt. Cannabis farms can be set up as well, and growing and harvesting marijuana can become a profession, thus lowering the employment rate. On November 4th, citizens in Alaska, Florida, Oregon, and Washington, D.C. will cast their ballots on marijuana initiatives, and other states are also likely to consider legalization in upcoming elections. Colorado, the first state to allow the sale, is expected to take $60 million to $70 million this year in taxes from legal pot sales. According to the Denver Business Journal, cash-strapped states stand to collect millions if they legalization draft. Across the United States could gain just over $3 billion in tax revenue from marijuana sales, according to a new analysis by NerdWallet.
So now we're going to have a question period for 2 minutes. So it's going to be it's supposed to be the second negative. So Jean, you should be asking questions of Lorena if you haven't.
why you have to legalize marijuana, it's gonna be like, if you legalize marijuana, if it's gonna be a benefit or a pair. I think it's a pair, I think. Because I think there's a study said they spend like $295 million to rise up marijuana, and they gain like 50 million only. I think it's a pair.
Okay, Jean, so ask a question. Ask her a question. Because you gave your opinion, but what do you want to know from her?
Yeah.
Just go back to your question.
So why they have to legalize marijuana?
Because from marijuana people have more benefits, health benefits. Marijuana cures many diseases, and if the government grow up marijuana is a business, and many people will work there, and the government and the state is more strong. They win $1 billion per year. I told you before examples of in Alaska, Colorado, and other states. They win $1 billion, and nobody knows if the government didn't register or show deed from marijuana. So marijuana is not dangerous. Maybe is more healthy than caffeine. So.
Do you know how many they spend to legalize marijuana, and what's the benefit?
What kind of benefit?
Yeah, like if, for example, if they spend like $200, how much they gonna get back? Like for the benefit?
Okay, stop. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Sorry. We have to keep strictly to the time. So remember, guys, when you're asking questions, just try to just ask questions. Don't give your opinion too much. Just try to get information from the other team, and try to use your time that way. One other thing, like if you are a member of the team and you want to get a question to your other teammates, you can't do that during the when people are speaking. If you want to pass a question to your team now, if you have something you want to do or information that you think is important, you can do that. But you should try to coordinate as best you can. It's just going to go much more smoothly, I think, if we just keep it to the debaters. But if you guys want to do a very quick conference with your teammates, if you want to do a quick conference, you can do that. Otherwise, we need to move on. Okay, so next we're going to have the first speech, the first negative constructive from the negative team, and that is going to be Suzanne. Suzanne, you've got 5 minutes.
Marijuana is addictive. Without that, people are unable to be consumptive. Teenagers start to smoke because they see a lot of smoking in the movie. Americans die from disease associated with tobacco, marijuana, each year. About 400,000 is not safe. In USA, the National Institute of Drug Abuse say 5,000 people underage 21 die each year from injuries caused under the drinking marijuana, then 40% in car crash. Marijuana can affect immediately because the TH is the ingredient rapidly reach every organ in the body, including the brain. The effect can last from 1 to 3 hours. In 2011, marijuana was reported in over 455,000 emergency department visits in the USA. Over 30% involved people between the age of 12 and 17. 20 states legalized marijuana for medical purposes, but the FDA has approved marijuana is no medicine to be considered a legitimate medicine. A substance must have well-defined and measured ingredients that are consistent from one need. Marijuana leaf, just one leaf, contains over 400 other chemical compounds which may have different effects in the body. The big concern is that letting for-profit business markets and sell marijuana encourage them to sell to minor and drug abusers. The economist will say many of the benefits from marijuana and costs are not normally measured in dollars and can only be guessed at anyway. So this is tricky business. It's tricky business because it's not free. They run the risk of arrest for progressing in their labor. Marijuana is addictive, destructive, or unproductively. The CNBC showed that marijuana is the most commonly abused illegal drug in the USA and around the world. McConnell give the opposition to any talk of marijuana legalization came one day after Green expressed some openness to the idea. In the long term, marijuana is not healthy. Some studies, like drug-free world, show that more scientific studies show that 50 to 7% more cancer-causing substance than tobacco smoke. A single cannabis, just one, can cause a much damage in the lung as up to 5 regular cigarettes smoked one after another. In the long term, the drug marijuana can affect the physical health, kill the brain. Number of the study have shown connection between continued marijuana use and psychosis. Marijuana changed the structure of sperm for the man. Cells and can cause temporary sterility in the man and can upset a woman's menstrual cycle, reduce mental function, and affect memory. Studies show a pregnant woman who regularly smokes marijuana may give birth prematurely, underweight baby, and children born with reduced
Okay, that's time. All right, so now we're going to do the cross-examination of Suzanne. So that is supposed to be, yes.
Do you have strong proof about this? I want strong proof, name and person. They died from marijuana. Because I have more information that cannabis has been used for 10,000 years and not one single bit. So I need more strong proof from
I
you.
can say last year when, according to the report on Rocky Mountain News, when they legalize marijuana, the first day in Colorado, 37 people died.
37 people?
Yes, 37 people were killed across the. It was like overdose, many things. We have a proof because in Colorado, it's the first example, the big example we can give for today.
So everything, if is overdose, the people maybe die. And if you eat overdose, if a person eat overdose and he is going to be overweight and is dangerous. But why, you know that cigarettes kill and the cigarettes are legalized everywhere. Why not marijuana should be legalized?
We wanna know who prescribed marijuana, why you can use marijuana, and how do you use it? Marijuana cannot be healthier because when they legalize it's for to smoke. Do you know the smoke is not good for people? And when people have a free, they can use when they need.
So I have more information and I told you that marijuana is good for and cures many diseases. So yeah, it cures many diseases. Many professors and
Okay.
psychiatrists told.
Stop. So, all right, so I just want to take a very short break here and just explain some procedural stuff. So she asked a question, she's like, guys, I need to hear from you about the marijuana kills people.
Yes.
So you've got some evidence. So she's typically in a debate, if somebody asks to see some evidence, it's if you have it, you should give it to them, or you should at least say where the source came from. So, because that's going to be a piece of evidence that probably the judge wants to look at too. Like, I'm going to want to look at that to determine whether, if they address that argument, I want to be able to evaluate the evidence.
I think I give the source and I give an example for Colorado, in the most example. The
Right,
same day
right,
they
but like, where did that information come from?
CBC News?
CNBC News.
CNBC News,
Yes.
okay. And do you have like well, after the debate, I'll take a look at that. Because
Yes.
that's gonna be, maybe an important piece of evidence here. Okay. So, good, we're done with the first, the second process. So now, the second affirmative constructive.
Okay. I believe that legalization of marijuana should become true as soon as possible. The benefit of marijuana in medical and economic area have been pointed out by my partner. We both think that the advantage of marijuana is much more than its disadvantage. As a fact that more than 45% of American adults have reported that they are using marijuana. In 2011, 80.1 million American age 12 and older report using the drug within the past month, compared with cigarettes in 2013. Approximately 17.8% of American adults smoke. But there are so many reasons why marijuana is not worse for you than smoking cigarettes. For instance, the vapor contain nicotine, which cause many diseases. However, the marijuana do not contain nicotine. Smoking is legal while marijuana is illegal. It's not fair. So I believe if the smoker had right to smoke, marijuana users have their right to take marijuana as well. And then I will give you a plan of the administration of marijuana. I think the big problem is of the marijuana is its administration. So the administration of marijuana is necessary for its legalization. Most importantly, the government should control the marijuana by law. In medical era, people have right to use marijuana to reduce their pain and chill. Government can establish a group to communicate and discuss with experts from the medical and their produce a stimulation of using marijuana for medical and research. The stimulation will limit dosage of marijuana so that marijuana play an important role in treating and then those reduce the bad effect at the lowest point. If some company want to add marijuana in medicine, first they have to earn the license from government, and then they should report the government for the permission before adding. In common, the people also have their right to use marijuana. The marijuana can buy and use. The government can also discuss with the expert from to build a stimulate for selling marijuana. For example, the people who age or elder 21 can buy and use marijuana. When people buy the marijuana, they should show their ID for permission. And the only one access to buy marijuana is those stores which earn the selling license. The consequence of the marijuana legalization. I believe the marijuana legalization can decrease the crime. As we know, the jungle will cause many forms of violence, including homicide, both violence may lead to crime. And without legalization marijuana, someone must control marijuana by jungle. In order to control that, jungle must take place, which lead to increased crime. At that time, ill people will need marijuana, and people who is addicted in marijuana, they have to spend more money to buy, and they will become crime. This bad cycle which leads more people to find in the jungle. So it is necessary for a country to make marijuana legalization as soon as possible.
Okay, so I believe it's Suzanne's turn to ask questions. Go ahead.
I need to know if you know some risk yet for people who use marijuana. Do you know the risk for marijuana when you use it? Because you said we're gonna legalize marijuana. Marijuana is healthy, marijuana is good because we can gain more money.
Yeah.
This, you talk more about economy. I can show you that many studies found that employees who tested positive for marijuana had 55% accident, 85% injury, and 75% increase in being absent from the work. Is no good for the economy. Is no good for the society.
Suzanne,
I need to know the risk. Do you know the risk? The risk for marijuana when you use it.
I point. Sorry, I couldn't follow your question. I could not make sense of your perspective.
My question is, you say marijuana is good,
Yeah.
marijuana is benefit, marijuana is good for the society, marijuana is healthy. I need to know if you know the risk for marijuana. I can say the negative consequences for marijuana. Do you know the more risk if you know the risk when you use it? The effect for marijuana.
Okay, so
Because I have some statistics.
So we're going to stop here. So she asked the question about, like, do you understand the risks of marijuana? You don't have to answer it now, but maybe she'll talk more about that in the debate. So be prepared to respond to, not now, but as you continue debating, be prepared to respond to that question, okay?